I have noticed a problem in tech ecosystem. There are a lot of influencers where they write content around things like how Swiggy does cloud optimization or how Netflix is doing streaming at their scale. Now this is good, but a lot of these influencers do not have deeper insights because the real engineers who are working behind the scenes, they are not writing the content. They are also probably not writing blogs around it. So these influencers and their content is as good as your guess and my guess. They're pretty much solving system design problems which are required in interviews, but they're not really giving us deeper insights. That's exactly what I want to fix with our podcast series. I'm going to bring in guests from some of the top tech companies out there. I'm going to ask them the questions around how did they actually go about building something in their company. And this is this latent knowledge available in our tech ecosystem, and I'm going to make it accessible to everyone. That's the goal behind this podcast series. And with that, let's get started. So Rishabh, you have also mentioned, and we just discussed about the accessibility improvement project at Swiggy.
Yeah.
Tell us more about it, because I've heard the word accessibility and also seen it in the page speed related part when we look at Lighthouse scores and stuff. But people don't really give a lot of importance to it. I would love to know more, like what was the insight, how did you guys get started, and the deeper knowledge around that.
Yeah. So the journey started sometime in 2020 when there was an active change.org petition against Swiggy. There were a couple of influencers who were talking about this, that Swiggy app is not accessible for blind users and all. And frankly, I mean, there's no right and wrong answer, but it's difficult to keep app accessible.
Correct.
So with all good intent, keeping an app accessible is challenging because every time you have to do minor changes. And so this started with that petition, and it came to me. I mean, it was kind of a top-down project to me. Largely, it's around talkback and voice-over support and how you restructure your front end to work with a limited input. So largely, it's about improving your user experience to work with 3 action: next, previous, and select.
Okay.
This is the core of the overall, motion impairment and vision impairment accessibility.
Okay.
Then you can have a specific extension of the problem for hearing impairment and all, but largely vision and motor impairment can be solved with these couple of things.
Okay.
So when we start solving this, we found that the Swiggy storefront is very much merchandising heavy. We have so much images. So we built support to have some textual input for that image. And when we build that support and that started coming up, we have explored the announcement feature. So so when blind user open the app, they look for cues.
Okay.
Like for example, a new page gets open. So if you don't announce, it largely depends on the first component of the page, and that will get the spoken feedback. So we have built an announcement, like when you open the app, it says key, okay, you are into Swiggy, your selected location is XYZ, something like that. It's a small hack, but it improves the overall understanding of the page for a user.
Okay.
We have worked with differently abled individuals extensively. I mean, I've done the interviews with them. I have actually myself blindfolded and tried the app experience to find out myself. So then a couple of more things we have done. One was around changing the layout. For example, in our menu page, the biggest problem we saw in food journey is that our menu page was very deep.
Okay.
So let's say, and this goes, as I said, next, previous, and select. Only 3 actions are available. If your menu item has 100 items, then somebody has to go to all 100 items to go to the next page. That's the blocker, correct?
Okay.
Like, because there's no third action available, correct? You can go next, select. Select action is blocked to add to cart. Then how do you go out of it? It's a loop, correct? So we found a very intuitive solution. We have introduced stepper. There's a concept called stepper. So as soon as in an accessibility mode, in the menu page, if you go and add the item to the cart, just next to it there is a small button which says tap here to go to the cart. So as soon as you're done adding items to the cart, like you wanted to add 5 items, select 5 items and go to that. And as soon as the 5th item you have added, you have option to go to the cart directly. You can skip the entire list. That's one optimization we have done. Another optimization we have done is around how vision impaired user will navigate through the categories of menus. So our menu is having multiple categories. In general, those categories are open for
Correct,
for
yeah.
non-accessible session, the categories are open. So it's very difficult. First, we'll go to, let's say, breakfast and list all the breakfast items. Then it goes to lunch, list all the lunch items. So we have basically changed the approach there. And then if the accessibility mode is on, we allow the category to be scrolled first. So first you'll get the option that breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then you can double tap and go to the detail of it. And at any point in time, you can come back to the
Okay.
primary category. So that kind of a UX changes we have done to improve.
Interesting.
Same thing we have carried forward to cart page. Every action, when you can take some action, you have option to go to the primary action of the page, which is let's say next action.
Okay, understood.
Fortunately, the payment providers like JustPay and all the payment provider have accessibility support available.
Okay.
Operating system, be it Android, iOS, both have a very good accessibility support available. So as soon as SMS or any kind of such actions are required, operating system takes over and provide the right support. So, I mean, the overall journey was to finding out these pitfalls and fixing it. Couple of individual, highly enthusiastic individual who were part of it, who were taking care of the accessibility requirement for every new PRD. So we kind of enforced this, and this came as bottom up. Like engineers have started demanding that I need accessibility required. I don't want to go work on this design unless this is accessible. But I actually wanted to highlight this point. Like when we started doing this change, though again overall size of price, and if you just look at the business backward lens, it may not make a cut. But this was the right thing to do, and I was trying to solve the problem, and somehow I end up getting support from more than 30 engineers without me making any prioritization request or anything. Like this just happened. I mean, without prioritization, without making any fuss.
Everybody thought that this is an important problem for the company to solve.
I think that was the reason I started seeing that pushback, or like that the engineers started having the pushback that we need to make this product accessible for blind users, and then we started having accessibility requirement as a SDLC process. We built some Figma plugins. Our design team have built. I've also built some, hacked some of the plugins, and then kind of became a practice to have accessibility requirement as part of the overall design.
Okay. The second thing I want to talk about is the whole Dinout transition. Right. Earlier it used to be a standalone app, and then Swiggy acquired Dinout, and now it's also part. It sits there inside the bottom navigation as well. And we discussed that you led the whole migration there, right? So I would love to know, like, how was the whole migration process, the deeper insights into like how were you guys able to do it with zero or very minimal downtime as such there, and the journey around that.
That have solved most of we have migrated most of the high intent traffic directly from Dinout app to Swiggy app, and later with right now, and later we took a stand to basically host the same Dinout app as a shell app in Dinout app itself. So right now, if you download Dinout app, you will find the same Swiggy Dinout app, but with only Swiggy Dinout app and no food and Instamart.
Okay.
So we have taken that approach. Dinout is available as standalone app as well. It's part of Dinout, part of Swiggy app as well. And it's largely depends on users' choice how they want to use Dinout. The other problem was to migrate such a huge supplier, like huge restaurant base to Swiggy, and it took time. And like we have migrated top tier restaurant first, and then there was a migration plan we had. We executed very thoroughly to migrate all the supply from Swiggy Dinout to the legacy Dinout to Swiggy Dinout, and later we built the restaurant product also, which is also live right now, and restaurant product also we have migrated from Dinout app to Swiggy app, because now the restaurant app has both food delivery and Dinout app. Dinout side of it. So with the same app, a restaurant partner can manage their delivery orders with different roles. RBAC is anyway there.
Correct.
So they can use the same app to manage the delivery side of thing and Dinout side of thing as well.
Okay.
So migration allows us to leverage a lot of common components between food delivery, Instamart, and Dinout. So we started For example, here also we have taken a different approach. Like initially, when the product was at 0 to 1 journey, we have built the entire experience in React Native. Dinout was initially built on React Native, the Swiggy
Okay, the
Dinout.
standalone app.
No, Swiggy Dinout app.
Okay.
And when it reaches a right level of adoption, or reaches right level of, you can say, acceptance from the market, we have started migrating it to native. Right now, the Dinout app is on the native stack. It shares the code with Food and Instamart as well.
Okay.
So we have a lot of reusability there. Like we have design language, DLS, design system. So with all those reusability, the speed of execution, speed of development, basically multiplies with Dinout. So
Okay. How do you handle it from the engineering side? Like when it's still in that hybrid flow that few things are independent and few things are part of the common app as well. Like what things would change from the tech side for this?
So at the end of it, even it's a separate app, I can talk about specifically in Dinout. In Dinout, the common app and the app within Swiggy power from the same code base. We have built the technology which can emit the app as a flavor.
Okay.
So if I ask it to give me a flavor of Dinout only, so it will basically cut down all the cases, all the BLs and give emit only the Dinout app.
Okay.
And it has different instrumentation. It has different levers for us to play around. Like it gives an identification that this session is coming from Dinout only app.
Okay.
And so I mean, the engineering happened on splitting out the BLs very clearly and leveraging the common code base. So like we don't have specific code base for Dinout. It's part of the same code because you have to reuse a lot of things, correct? So the engineering is like how do we build the apps? That's on the front end side. And back end side also, like services are same in both the places. Just that session identification is different. Like
Okay.
we understand the sessions coming from Dinout app or Shell app, we call it, or a Swiggy app. We understand them separately and we can take a call. Like sometime, for example, we have taken us sometime back, we have enabled Swiggy scenes and Shell app. Now we have not enabled it. Those kind of executive decisions we can take, like which BL we wanted to have on which app. So those kind of controls are available for us. So as engineering, we have solved those things.
Okay. Let's talk about the whole AI thing, right? Which is everybody is talking about. And recently, if you've heard about Zuckerberg's interview, he mentioned that mid-level engineers are pretty much gone in 2025. A lot of code is going to be written with the help of co-pilots and AIs and cursors and tools like that. What's your take? Like, how do you see this whole landscape evolving over next few months, years? So let's say, like, how do you think like things are going to pan out?
So I have been using Copilot since it was launched. I think a year and a half. I think a year back, sometime last March, April timeframe, they have started the first rollout. And then, I mean, I have been using Cursor also myself. So, see, one thing I can see, the pace of innovation or pace of growth on this space is really rapid. I mean, we have never seen such hyper growth in the AI space in past. I see it as a very positive, in a very positive manner. I mean, like, it's kind of a tooling, better tooling. For example, now engineers can do a lot beyond just writing syntax, and maybe they can focus on the core of the problem. For example, the core of the problem is not always linked with the syntax and the overall project size. Largely, very small initiatives, very small changes in the overall scheme of thing makes a major difference. So I see this as a support tool for engineers. Maybe later point in time, when we see more stable code, I mean more stable version of Sonnet and all, they may be able to replace a lot of tools. Like for example, there are a lot of dashboard generated tool. Like you don't need them. Like you can just generate it. Very specific use case based tooling you can create. You can also extend your services to have, let's say, variety of test cases can be written from these tools. So I see this as a supporting tool for engineers, and engineers will find a way to make a better use of this tool.
Okay.
One thing I can see, the pace of innovation will multiply. I mean, there will be enormous development which will happen. Um, but I'm not very much aligned with this thought process that job family will be removed. I mean, maybe time will tell, but I think every time when we saw such kind of groundbreaking changes, we found a way to make a better use of that technology and
Correct.
become more creative. Maybe the boundary between engineering design may blur a little bit more. Maybe now engineers will contribute beyond their line of duty and take a complete ownership of product thinking.
Okay.
Anything is possible. I mean, we just need to see how it will span out. At the current version of Cursor, I think what I have found myself is like it still needs some manual touch to make it useful for end user. Um,
But the other thing will definitely happen, or I would say it's already happening, right? That the engineers are becoming a lot more efficient.
Yep.
Right? Somebody who is, let's say, not using tools like Copilot or Cursor or any other AI tool out there versus somebody who is actually using them, I'm sure there is a massive difference in terms of productivity.
Definitely.
Right? And maybe they are 2-3x more productive
Exactly.
in terms of churning out the code and maybe even thinking about edge cases, writing test cases and stuff. That would, in a way, would anyway result in less number of jobs being available, right? Like say a team at Swiggy where you would need, let's say, 10 engineers to do a task or take care of functionality. Now, probably, I think 3 or 4 engineers will also be able to do that, and it's good for you also as a manager, like okay, smaller team to manage, less variability there, and also they're much more productive than a very large team of, let's say, 10 to 12 engineers out there.
That's one way of looking at it. Or maybe we do 10x more work. That's another. I mean, it's too early. I mean, we need to see how it will become stable. Like
Correct.
we are seeing a very fast rate of growth on this space. We don't know the data security part. We don't know how at what. For example, in my personal experience with Cursor, I mean, I found sometime it's making some wrong judgment, breaking the existing code, and like you have to actually iterate a lot to make it work. So maybe that's a journey they are.
Correct.
I mean, this tool is going through. We'll just have to see. But I am hopeful on that front that overall progress and for example, we have seen the impact of Copilot and generative AI capabilities in Swiggy itself. I mean, we have seen tools like Hermes, which just help faster decision making. Hermes, by the way, is our Gen AI tool which allows anybody in Swiggy to ask queries, business queries, and then Hermes generate Snowflake queries, analytics queries, and give you the insight directly.
Okay. How does it work?
So we have our own RAG pipeline. We basically, so our data lake is on Snowflake. So we have basically written a layer which basically using local generative AI capabilities to basically convert a regular question, a general question, to a query. And using our RAG, it basically create the final Snowflake query. It runs on your behalf and then basically provide detailed answer about it. So
interesting. So anybody just needs to write
textual
query,
input,
text query, and it should be able to generate the report or give you the final answer. Interesting. Does it impact the data analyst role you guys
No,
have?
I've not seen that, and I don't think. I mean, now data analysts will do more. More L2 or like more L3 level insight. Like they'll have to. They don't have to worry about the general questions because Hermes will take care of the basic level of data analysis. Now they'll focus on L2s, L3s, finding insights, finding patterns for a. So problem will become more and more harder or more denser over time, and the top of the funnel problems would be handled by that AI and all these.
Okay, which is anyway a lot of people find it boring to an extent.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, a tool should be able to do a good job, or a dashboard will be able to do a good job.
Exactly.
There. That whole part is now being anyway handled with the help of AI.
Yeah, but I think with the this operator also is live, and I mean, as I said, like the growth is very fast right now. A lot can change over time, so we
Yeah.
just need to see how it
Got it.
proceeds.
How else Swiggy and the engineering team is using Gen AI internally?
So we have Copilot available for our engineers. So they use Copilot day in day out. We also have abstract layers on top of such tools. I mean the Copilot tool, which actually instrument the auto inserted lines of code, and we analyze like the kind of correct acceptance rate of such auto generated code.
Okay.
That also help us understand how the AI layer is understanding the code base and nuances of it. We also have a tool which basically crunch the real-time log lines and find the insight. We call log CTX. So anybody can write queries like give me anomaly about this service at this time frame. It basically crunch the data and it crunch the millions of lines of logs and find out the anomaly. So
Okay.
such kind of tools we have built. We have also more or less we are also building the tools to basically supporting tool for our business functions, like which basically kind of creating our own rack pipeline, and let's say for example supply team needs some insight about a restaurant or like any restaurant largely, like in particular case of Dinout, like what kind of deals are running and all, some business insights, so they can ask the tool directly, and that tool allows that will basically gives the answers using the rack pipeline and the available data.
Okay.
So such kind of small experiments we have done.
So a lot of our audience is early engineers, ST 1, 2, 3. That's the primary audience for our programs, as well as I'm assuming our podcast as well. So would love to know if you have any parting advice for that audience, people who are very early in their career, and like things which have really worked well for you, and you, or whenever you're hiring, you're also looking for those kind of skills and stuff. Would love to know.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things I would like to highlight. One is definitely problem solving skill. This is, I mean, I have kept repeating it multiple times because it's not about how you are coding a solution for a problem. It's more about your thought process. A good problem solver is a good problem solver. Like he will apply the same logic at multiple places. Uh, if I would have to go back and see what I would have done differently, then I would definitely would have spent more time in basically problem solving.
Okay.
Secondly, see, with more Gen AI capabilities, L2, L3 details are something which will be abstracted out over time. So, understanding of customer persona, little bit reading about varied topics like product design or in general business, there's no harm. I think with the advancement of technology, I think reading and little bit softer skill and varied knowledge becomes more important. Now, I think people should have, I mean, individuals should have stronger point of view. At my when I started my career, there was an option to say that product said so. Uh, I think that option may not be viable for
Correct.
future
Yeah.
generation. Third thing is collaboration. One should know how to put forward their point of view and collaborate with the stakeholders. So that's very, very important skill now. I have seen individual creating wonders with just one discussion, aligning the stakeholders on little bit of delay on a execution, which have unlocked very good engineering benefit for the overall organization. And I think that skill is largely how you basically influence your uh, stakeholders. And I think the entire overall collaboration skill is something is very important now. So don't under index that. And yeah, I think these are the couple of things I think would be very, very useful.
All right. Okay. Cool. Thank you so much, Rishabh, for your insights, and thank you so much for coming here today. With that, we come to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching.